Hello, everyone. Welcome to welcome to Satsang. I decided to talk a little bit about disappointment, especially on the spiritual path. Disappointment, desire, expectations, and all the things that we naturally and inevitably encounter in life, and the fact that there's no bypass of this. There's no escape from the experiences of life. Right? There's a lot of people who promise that there is through various kinds of means, including the promise of enlightenment. It's this great escape from life. But it doesn't actually exist. And we all have to come to terms with the disappointments, the things that we want that don't happen, the relationships we want that don't happen or don't pan out, the successes we want. And of course, all these desires are perfectly natural, right? We wouldn't be human without them. Right? This idea that somehow awakening and you don't have any more desires um, is simply not true. There's no more attachment to the desires because they're not seen as a personal possession anymore. They're not seen as something that I've created and now I'm responsible for. You see them as just a natural functioning of life, like breathing, like growing hair, like all the things that all the things that we do in life, and all the things we have to do in life, where there is no life. So, what coming to terms with our own desires, finding their origin, and then learning to let go of them. Now, that doesn't mean they go away, right? You know, if you're standing in the water and you drop a ball that floats in the water, and you just kind of let go of it. You're holding something and let it go, and it floats. It may flow right back at you. It may keep bouncing into you for quite a while. Once you've taken your hands off, you've let go. You're no longer attempting to determine what's going to happen, whether it comes or it goes. If it comes, great. If it doesn't come, great. In a course I did a while ago called Your Four Amazing Powers of Creation, um, I talk about the nature of desire, and that rather than it being like a personal possession that you're responsible for, I use the metaphor of you're like a garden, and in the garden things grow. The the human being is a garden in which all sorts of things can grow. The garden isn't really responsible for the things that grow. It doesn't determine what they're going to be. It doesn't determine even if they're going to succeed, if they're going to come to full bloom and fruition. It is simply the setting in which it happens. And the best we can do is be just the open, nourishing, and nurturing ground within that they grow. And so disappointment comes when we have the deep attachment to a particular outcome. Now, I don't want to diminish this because obviously the desire for something is the desire for a particular outcome. You want it to happen. And so, as long as there is desire, there will be disappointment. It's in the disappointment that the deep lesson lies. You cannot escape it, right? You cannot guarantee that what you want you're going to have. So many things in life have to come together for any particular desire to come to fruition. and you don't control most of them. You're one factor in it. So many things have to coalesce for a moment to have it. Like this moment right here, you and I sitting here talking, and you listening. Think of all of the different processes and inventions and infrastructure and stuff that had to happen over literally thousands of years for this moment to be possible. I have my school where I sell my courses, right? Home school. I couldn't have that. That was not possible even 20 years ago. The whole way of teaching and the reach of the teaching. I would just be somebody in some little town, and maybe there'd be some people there who were interested in what I had to say, maybe not. But that would be as far as the reach got, unless I managed to make it on the Tonight Show or something where everybody all of a sudden saw you, or you published a book. I mean, that was the way if somebody got known beyond their immediate circle, is the book publishing business, which isn't like that anymore. Right? So think of all of the things that had to be here before this moment could happen. And you realize that any desire you have, right, is subject to all of that. It is subject to the entire environment in which it has emerged. So what do you do then? I think this is kind of the one of the deepest and most significant things for a human being. To love something, to cherish something, to work for its fulfillment, and at the same time let go of attachment to the results. This is actually what's referred to as karma yoga, which was the way Krishna taught it. Karma yoga is working diligently, working conscientiously, but with no attachment to the results, letting it go. Right? Because the ultimate results have nothing to do, have only a tiny little bit to do with you. Now, the more harmonious you are, the more equanimous you are, the more you can be that present with it, the less squeeze there is on it, right? If I really need to have something work out in a particular way, I'm just squeezing the snot out of it, right? And come on, you're trying to make something happen. And if you look at it surely from the point of view of your own relationship with the world and manifestation and all that, you are in exactly the wrong kind of energy for anything to happen. You're closed. You're shut down. But if you are completely okay and equanimous with whatever happens, that's actually the highest vibration that there is. And it's the environment in which it is most likely that something is going to be fulfilled, but you cannot guarantee it. There's nothing you can do to guarantee something is going to be made manifest. Nothing. and anyone who teaches you that there is either just trying to sell you something or is just vastly misinformed. It's the notion that somehow me, my thinking, my feelings are the only factor in the whole universe as to something unfolding in your life. It's not. It's one, and it's not even the biggest one. Think about it for a moment. Where did the desire come from? Did you make it? You can just look back at the moment when a desire arose. Did you create it? Or did something just kind of sprout? Consider about anything, right? Did you create it? Were you there at that moment? Did you see yourself putting it together? I think I'm going to decide to want that. Can you decide who you're going to fall in love with? You know, what friends are going to get close? You simply can't do it. You simply can't do it. It all happens spontaneously. Once it happens, we establish a relationship with it. And that relationship will either be one that's grabby, right, or be one that's open and nurturing. It's going to be one that gets really invested in it and very tense about it and stressed about it, or it'll be one that just accepts it for what it is, allows it to be there, enjoys the process, right? Enjoys the energy of desire and not always focused on what the fulfillment is going to be. Sometimes a seed gets planted in the ground and you don't know what plant it belongs to. Could be a could be a sunflower, could be a giant sequoia, could be a weed. You don't know. Your job is to simply nurture it. Right? And of course, when we get our hopes up, when we really are wanting something to happen, and it doesn't, for reasons that are completely out of our control, we will feel that disappointment. Of course, we're human. And at which point, you use that as a moment to settle into yourself, to find that place in yourself which never disappoints. It's always there. Use it as a way to become more wise, recognizing that there's no guarantee on any of this. Everything is impermanent. And therefore, what does come into my life, what does come to fulfillment, should become even more precious to you, even more beautiful. Now, again, this is a place we work towards. Right? This isn't something that happens overnight. Spirituality is a cultivation. It's a process. It's a growth and nuance. Despite the fact that it is completely possible for there to be a spontaneous total awakening. For most, it is more a matter of growth up to that point. So I think I'll leave it there for now. And just invite you into the sweetness of life. And the sweetness of life is both the joy and the sadness. It is both the victories and the defeats. Because you can't have one without the other. So now I'll go hit the, I'll notice I'm sitting in the comfy chair tonight. I decided I would do that. Hello, Roberto. Roberto says, how the heck do you accept? Well, I'll go read. I think you have some more here too. Let's just start with that. How do you accept? How do you accept what is? Well, the first thing is a recognition that it is. Simple as that. It is. It's already here. Right? And now I have a choice. I can either fight it, try to reject it, try to fix it, change it, and make it go away. Right? Or I can accept that it is here, accept that it's here for a reason, and allow it to have an effect on me that causes me to grow. Nothing comes into your life to knock you down. Everything comes into your life to raise you up, to bring you closer to who you really are. So whatever happens is a fulfillment of that. If you see it that way, then you realize that this is not, you're not being punished, you're not being kept from anything, that you are being invited into your highest self, into the highest you can be in this particular form, in this particular life, at this particular time. So he says, does life on earth have some codes, steps to be followed should you want to achieve anything? Nice job equals studies, nice body equals excessive good health, healthy foods, and if you do not, it will be extremely difficult to get those, if not impossible. Well, yeah, everything does. Everything has steps. You want to be a musician, you have to play, right? You want to be a stockbroker, you have to learn how to do the market. If you want to learn how to be a surfer, you have to surf. And there are steps, there are techniques. That, I suspect what your real question is, are there steps you can follow that guarantee a result? That, absolutely not. There's nothing that guarantees the desired result. Do this and then this will occur. It guarantees some result, but remember, your action is only a small part of it. Everything that appears, this is what Thich Nhat Hanh calls interbeing. I've not heard that phrase in Buddhism before, but he says it is, so I'll take his word for it. I've heard interdependent arising, but it's interbeing. You cannot, nothing exists in and of itself. It is part of a system. It is always part of an environment. What I teach about working with the energy system, the nervous system, inner reconciliation and tapping and the like, is that you can't work directly on the nervous system, or you'll just throw it into defensive mode. You create an environment for it. The environment is what everything responds to. So this moment is not just made of you. It's made of everything that's come before this. It is made of everybody else in the world. The butterfly flaps its wings in Peking. It rains in New York. Everything is interrelated. Everything is interbeing. So you can't say, okay, if I do this, then this will happen, because there's a gazillion factors that have to enter into that. So at best, what these steps are simply a direction you go in. If there's a direction that feels natural to you, that isn't an attempt to get out of pain, but has in it the elements of your joy, inherent joy, well, then you follow it. Right? And I urge everybody to, we live in a time of extrinsic joy. Everything is being forced on us from the outside. Everything is outside, 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 outside. What is it that you do during a day that you do just because you love doing it? And I've been doing this for 4 years now. Right? I don't charge anything. I don't make a living off of it. It doesn't give me great prestige. I don't have an audience of, a million people, right? I don't have a gazillion of followers on YouTube. So why do I do it? Because I love it. I love it. I'll give satsang to one person. I'll give it to anybody, anytime. Wake me up in the middle of the night and I will do this, because I love to do it. It just feels so natural. It feels so in the flow. It feels like I'm living me. It's an intrinsic joy. It's an intrinsic attribute, payoff even. Right? Without those, you'll never be happy and you'll never be satisfied. Life will become perfunctory, about making money and acquiring this and having this. Even the things that you acquire will not have joy in them. You'll either be afraid to do it, right? Uncertain about it, or you'll think it is, and then it won't be satisfying. Without this kind of self-knowledge that I'm talking about, which surfaces and reveals itself in what we love, what we care about, what we do because we just love to do it. Right? Without that, right, life is drab. This to me is part of the process of spiritual growth, is to be true to you, true to this particular life form. It isn't just about the non-dual inquiry that takes you beyond all forms, right? Then you have to come back and be the ordinary human being. Deal in the world of being the human being. That means dealing with your own pain, dealing with whatever suffering comes up, and then taking it, and because of interbeing, we take on the suffering of others. We're all contributing. The state of the world right now is not the fault of a handful of billionaires. They're the symptom. And the corrupt governments that are pretty much universal at, at this point, and the continued grab for more and more power. They're the symptom. You and I, every single one of us, contributes to it. Right? Through how we think, how we feel, how we support all of the systems that maintain the huge inequity. Know thyself. Know yourself. And that genuine self-knowledge will raise everyone's vibration. If one person notches up, everybody notches up. But the notching up doesn't come from accomplishments. It comes from inner vision. It comes from finding who you are. And when you find who you are, you make it possible for others to find who they are. And that is the only way out of the current dilemma that the world finds itself in. It's the only way out. You had one other thing there, and didn't you? You'd lost your smile and sense of humor, and having tons of rage, sadness, and laziness. Yes, you've lost the smile and the sense of humor because the focus has always been totally external. It hasn't been here. What makes me happy? No, not getting something out there or having whatever it is that you want to have. That won't do it, right? And in this process of turning inward, you will find this is the pain, the suffering that has to come up, that has to be embraced. Rage, grief, sadness, laziness. Laziness is just a rebellion against doing meaningless shit. That's all it is. Whoops. Sorry. That's all it is. It's a rebellion. I don't really want to do it. Your whole body is saying, please don't make me do this again. Give me something, huh? Give me a spa day. Give me something I like to do. Please. That's what laziness is. We're not lazy towards anything that we care about. So laziness is a symptom of a deeper soul disconnect. Right? So there you are, Roberta. I think I've gotten to everything. There's Rosario and Ava, the whole Satsang gang. There's Jay, there's Robbie in Romania, there's Liza. Greetings to from Brahman. Carl Lucy. Hi, GP. Thank you for being here every week. You're very welcome. Could you talk about what spiritual ego is? The more I learn to be the observer, the less I want to interact with the outside world or have interest in it, including some friends and even some of my family. Is this spiritual ego? Thank you. No, it's not. A spiritual ego is simply when the spiritual practices become more important than you that's doing them, when they become an identity. Okay, now I'm spiritual, right? So I'm going to wear orange robes, or I'm going to meditate 4 hours a day, and I'm just going to tell everybody in the world how spiritual I am. You know, you see this with people who um, they kind of wear their spirituality on the sleeve, you know, or like a vegan. You know, everybody wants to tell everybody they look in horror as you're eating meat and the like. That it's no longer a true a true pursuit of truth. It has become an identity, and anything can become an identity. I've seen it a lot, even in non-duality circles. I visited a couple of groups on Facebook, some groups that talk about non-duality, and I just couldn't believe the nastiness that was going on inside. It was, this teacher or this teaching or this is the way it's supposed to be, and it was like nothing to do with genuine spiritual teaching, especially non-duality. It was simply a spiritual ego. They had identified themselves with a certain teaching, right? And that immediately, you can always tell, because when my teaching's right and yours is wrong, that's ego. Ego makes divisions. That's what it does. It loves conflict. Give me a fight, please. Give me a fight. It wants a bar brawl, right? But what's happening is oftentimes, as our identity is the false identity begins to fade away and the true identity begins to emerge more and more. The things that we used to find interesting and satisfying and fun won't be interesting, satisfying, and fun anymore. It just happens. It just happens that way, right? It can be disconcerting because I'm not really interested in that anymore. I used to love movies, love them, right? Now it's a really rare occasion. It's got to be a really great movie before I pay any attention whatsoever, or I'm forced to watch one because I'm sitting with my granddaughter. Yeah, it's just, is that a problem? No, not at all. And family, oh my, I could tell you stories about family that I outgrew my family and I had to leave them. You know, my um, my my parents and family back in Illinois. I just had to leave it. It was destructive, and it was destructive on my children. And I thought, okay, I got to let it go. It was just I had to. Right? And so, yeah, the desire to interact much in the outside world. I was really boring. I mean, I don't do that much. I like being here, right? I like seeing things. I like experiencing, different countries and the like. But I really don't do all that much. I live very, very simply, and and so you're going to have to expect, just like when you don't have the same interests or turn-ons you do now as you did when you were 10 or 20. As you're growing into spirit, the old stuff is falling away. Don't worry, new things will come, right? And what will come with it is not a sense of needing something in order to be satisfied. There'll be a deep inner contentment that is self-sustained that will satisfy whatever it needs to be satisfied. Right? And the desire to interact but also don't turn it into a thing where I'm not going to interact. I'm spiritual now, right? That is spiritual ego, right? Because sometimes you have to interact when you don't even want to, right? Sometimes you have to, right? Familial obligations or work obligations or things like that. You just take that in stride. Okay, this is what life requires of me right now. I will give to it fully. If I had my druthers, I wouldn't be here, and I keep myself open for when I don't have to be here anymore. And can you see how easy that is, how gentle that is with yourself, right? And it requires us sometimes to endure discomfort, right? Because when you can't get out of it, what do? Well, you accept it. You let it be there. You let that suffering come up. And in the environment of love and acceptance, suffering gets transformed into happiness because they're the same energy. I'm not talking about the deep transcendent ananda or contentment. I'm talking about just the happiness, the fun, the juice of life. Right? That energy that's now in defense opens up into expressive mode, and the end result is more just happy stuff. Right? Because there's nothing resisting anything anymore. Does that help, Carl? I'm sure you'll let me know. Hello, Melissa. Good to see you. There's Hendrik. William Brown, just in time. Ready, GP. Good to have you, William. Milo, hello to you. There's Dorothy in Denmark. There's David and Elaine, my friends. Virginia, good to see you. Lisa, hello, Lisa. Yeah, another. I'm new here. Should I watch this channel for manifestation? Is there anyone who gets results? Interesting question. If all you're interested in is how to manifest something with the expectation that it's going to bring something special into your life, no, this isn't the right place. If though you're interested in manifestation as a confirmation or as evidence of a deep spiritual transformation, then yes. But the evidence I'll have you be looking at is not something or someone showing up in your life. It's first, am I happier? Am I more content? Am I more patient? Am I more compassionate? Am I less reactive? Those are signs that the vibration is rising. Without those, it doesn't matter how hard you try to focus or what rules you follow or what how many times you can hold a thought for 17 seconds. Your essential vibration remains the same. Right? So this isn't something you can force on yourself. This is something you have to grow into. And on that, yes, on that score, you are in the right place. Hello, Dale in Massachusetts. Hello, Crispin. Sheila, good evening from the UK. Good evening, Sheila. I think I may have seen you once before, but maybe you're new. Hello, Merck. Good to see you. Everyone, the lies are complex, but truth is simple. Leave the stories and schemes and just speak the truth from a place of unity and compassion for all instead of imaginary egoic outcomes. That's a beautiful point. I think you're referring to the whole manifestation. I've taught courses on manifestation. I just recently did one on the chakras and money. And some people have actually gotten some more money. Right? But that wasn't why I taught it, so you could get more money. That sets up an unnatural expectation. The highest vibration is the one that seeks a manifestation for the benefit of all, not just myself. The bodhisattva is higher than the arhat because they seek enlightenment for the sake of all beings. If the desire I have, the thing I want to manifest, is the desire of the universe. That is, it's not me personally. I recognize that any desire that comes from me is the universe's desire. When with that, every desire is made manifest. If it is identified as its origin being, not me personally. So it's not my personal desire, it's not my personal fulfillment, it's not my personal gain. That's pure ego. It's all the benefit of the universe, which is all, which is everyone. This is interbeing. This is interdependent arising. Every desire is the desire of the universe. The universe grows hair. I don't do that. I don't sit around going, come on, hair, grow, come on, grow. I don't do that. The universe does. It was nice enough to leave me with hair at my age. Happy day. So the less self there is in a desire, the more likely it's going to get made manifest. So I guess the one thing you can do is get yourself out of the way. That would be the most the most salutary thing you could do. The most powerful thing you could do would get yourself out of the way. Right? And somebody super tigit. Aren't there things which depend on us more than other things? Obviously, the things that are most close to you, right, are going to be the ones that influence you and affect you the most of that. But ultimately, nothing depends solely on you. Right? Nothing. Right? Like I want to learn how to play the piano. I can sit down and play the piano, right? I can find good teachers and do that. But if I'm going to become a good piano player, that's really out of my control. There's only so much I can do, right? Given disposition and setting and the time I have allow, and just the the natural ability that this particular body mind has. And even if I do get that good, will I get known for it? Will I make my living from it? That's a whole other level, isn't it? Much of which you don't have any control over whatsoever. So we control what we appear to be able to control and then let go, right? You do what's in front of you to do, right? There is in all of us a visionary, somebody that can see things that aren't there, right? That too is the vision of the universe. If you have a vision of the way the world could be, for example, the way my life could be, you didn't create that. That is the universe unfolding what is life is possible, what's possible for life. What can life do? What can it be? You are the individual manifestation of that. Just let go of you. You didn't create it. You're not responsible for it. You cannot possibly bring all of the elements together. So play your part, right? The vision comes, you start walking towards it. That's it. That's all you can do. And if you start walking towards it, some doors may close. Oh, the door closed. All it means is that, oh, it's like those little cars that you run into a wall, they spin and they go off in a different direction. That's it. That's all you do. That's all you do. That door is closed. Okay, I'll walk over here. That one's closed. If you run out of moves, you go, okay, I've run out of moves. But things will change, right? Nothing remains the same. The very act of walking will change the universe. We are one. This is one infinite functioning being. Just like all of the cells of your body, trillions upon trillions of them, anywhere from 50 to 100 trillion cells, which, by the way, to give you some idea of how big that is, if you spend $1 a second, 24 hours a day, no days off, that's $3,600 an hour, right? Every hour of every day, it would take you 3.2 million years to spend it. That's 1 trillion. Right? No, I'm sorry, 100 trillion for 100 trillion cells. That's how big. And every one of the cells in your body is an independently functioning living being that are all coming together to make this unified form that you get to drive around in and experience through. The ego says, oh, this is it. I'm the pinnacle. Truth says, no, you too are a cell in the whole. And this is the beauty of spiritual inquiry. You're not only just a cell in the whole, you are also the whole. This is the mystery of oneness, the mystery of the not two-ness. So, perhaps I've said enough about that. Hello, Michael in Massachusetts. There's Steffi here in Germany. Hi, Steph. Rajesh, as per Bhagavad Gita, one should be detached from the fruit and the outcome. Yes, that's the practice. Because you don't have control over anyway, so you might as well. You might as well force things happen. Do what's in front of you, and be done with it. Let it go, because everything else is beyond your reach, and that's such a beautiful, beautiful thing to recognize. It takes the burden off of your shoulders, and allows you to be happy now, not when something has happened. This is the problem with the whole way manifestation is taught. So, okay, you're going to try to be happy now to get that thing, but all you're doing is creating a deep sense of lack and discontent until I get this thing. And then it becomes like the carrot and the donkey. It's just so elusive. Hello, Ursula, Madeira Island. There's Lynn J. Greetings from California. Hello, Lynn. Michael, can you do a group inquiry on specialness? The one that thinks he, she is special? Well, sure. Sure. How would you do an inquiry on? Well, first off, right, notice that there's a feeling of specialness, which means there's also thoughts. Gee, I'm really special. And or I want to be special. And then if there's some spiritual maturity, you might going to say, oh, I don't want to be special. No, that's not good. That's ego. Right? Now, all of those are just different ways of describing the simple phenomenon. And what's the simple phenomenon? There's a desire to be special, right? Or there's a feeling that I am somehow special. Well, now let's inquire into that. Are you special? Is there anyone like you in the universe? Will there ever be anyone like you in the universe? Has there ever been anyone like you in the universe? Well, that's kind of special, isn't it? So, specialness is inherent in this form. Does that make you better than another specialness? Or is it all specialness? Right? Does it make you less than another specialist? You have to bring in the ego with its comparisons and its contrasts. And, oh, I want to have this. So this is better than what I got. So I got to get over there. Now just notice that has nothing to do with just the reality of everyone's uniqueness. In fact, you are not you are special, one of a kind. You are not special, right? So you are not superior to anyone. You are not inferior to anyone, and you're also not equal to anyone. Take that in. Neither superior, inferior, nor equal. This is the wonder of life, your uniqueness. Now, noticing that there's this feeling, right? If I'm wanting to be, then I turn and go, okay, what is it that feels that somehow being special is going to satisfy it? Right? And that feeling of wanting it, or the feeling that I am. And back up some more. Okay, so that feeling of being special or wanting to be special, all of the stuff that gets attached to it, all of the projections, the entire scene that's taking place here. What's looking at that? Isn't there something to which they are all appearing? And isn't that something you? So now is the I that says, I want to be special or I am special, is that I not also something being watched from this other place? And here's the big one. This watching, this watcher, this witness, is it wanting to be special? Is it feeling special? Or are these just things appearing to it? Contemplate it. That's the inquiry. Dismantling and deconstructing at every step till you finally get back to what? To this. To just this. And this is me. I'm the one watching it. Right? But that I gets confused with the I that is appearing as a thought that says, I am this, I am that. But yet, you are. Just I am, full stop. Not this or that. And to that I am, everything appears and disappears. It's here 1 minute, gone the next. Does this come and go? That is, do you come and go? And the whole spiritual journey is nothing other than reclaiming the I from the mind picture of it, from the thoughts about it, which is the ego. The ego's not a thing, it's just a thought. And bringing that I back to the actual I, the I am, that which is actually witnessing it. The mind can say I am, but there's nobody there, right? Siri says I am, right? Or Alexa or Google. I'm afraid I don't know that, right? But there's nobody there. It's just a thought. It's just a sound. The true I, which is you, has simply mistaken that thought I for you. And so you think the I thought is talking about you. And it's not. It doesn't even know you exist. You are the universal I am. And you cannot be locked into a form. You cannot be known as a thing. And this is how you do the inquiry. And don't let go of it. Right? Don't say, oh, that was good, but I don't let go of it until that deconstruction takes root. And the I begins to come home to rest. Or as Christ put it, I go unto my Father. Thank you, Michael. Robbie, what's your view on Pantheist, the doctrine that the universe conceived of as a whole is God? It's certainly a lot better than the idea of God as this infinite being who's petty and trite and capricious and wrathful. Way, way beyond that. One could think that in the way that the body is made up of trillions and trillions of cells, and it makes up this apparent individual, one could extrapolate that out, that the universe is the body of God. But if that's the case, then God is made of smaller particles. And the interesting thing about it is, notice that everything that makes up you is not you. The cells that make up me are not me. The cells that make up this computer are not the computer. You can see this holistic thing emerge. Now, if I see it then as God as being the sum total of this, just like this body is dependent upon all of those things, God is dependent upon the sum total of things. The deeply spiritual or non-dual approach, using that word God, it isn't a being at all. It is being itself. So the universe isn't God as a whole. It is the infinite ultimate reality appearing in this instant. How it appears in this instant, we call that the universe. But God, the ultimate reality, is not a thing. It's not a person. It is indivisible and irreducible. It isn't made up of smaller parts. It is the invisible field that gives life and form to everything else. Everything else is a manifestation of it. And so while the pantheistic view is certainly better, right? It's certainly more humane. It's certainly closer to oneness than is the Abrahamic religions. It's still trying to make God into a thing, into an object. Right? And the universe apparently had a beginning. Actually, it has beginnings. It's being recreated constantly every moment. It had to emerge from that which emerged from nothing, that which is actually infinite and eternal. And that cannot be a thing, because no thing is infinite and eternal. Anything made up of something else, right, is constantly changing. So I'm identified with this body, then I am changing all the time. And this is what the ego is. And so the ego is constantly, if I'm identified with the ego, I'm changing all the time. But yet I'm aware of something in me that hasn't changed. Something that's been watching this incredible transformation that's been happening my entire life. And yet it has not transformed. This is God. Thanks, Ravi. Good evening from Peter. Hi, Peter. Hey, GP, so glad I was able to be here to hear you talk about disappointment. It really helped me. I hope you saved the beginning to another small YouTube. It's just that part. Much love. Yes, I probably will. Tatiana, it's so clear that you're deeply inspired to do what you do and that it's your ultimate love. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, I've given satsang to one. It's nicer. I don't mind telling you I like having an audience, but they're not absolutely essential. Oh, let's see. Werner, I yearn to find my thing, my passion like you did, GP. Any tips beyond just try stuff? Well, if you remember when we talked that one time, what turned you on, right? And remember, this is an explanation. Finding your thing, it's not going to be, here's the thing, right? Because it's not the thing. It's the you that gets embodied in the thing. I may have told this story before, long time ago, when I was at a very low point in my life. My my ex-wife, the mother of my two sons, had publicly humiliated me at my job. It came up, make a huge mess at it, one job that I had, and I had another job, right? On the midnight shift in a 7-Eleven. I was just doing odd jobs, confused as to why my life was not going very well, even though I'd had that experience on the bridge. And then, I was just in this constant flow of inspiration, but nothing in my life was working. And she showed up once she wanted to take the kids. They were living with me. She wanted to take the kids for a day. I said, okay. Well, unbeknownst to me, she hopped on an airplane and flew 2,000 miles away. And so here I am. It's like Christmas. I'm working in a 7-Eleven and my kids have been stolen from me. And I've got the boss yelling at me about the floors, right? So this is Illinois, right? In winter, right? Coming out of Christmas. So, I mean, it's snow and it's muddy and it's like I have to keep the place clean, right? So I'm mopping all. I'm just sitting. I'm just grumbling. I was like, "What the hell? What in the world? What did I do?" I mean, I'm just. This is horrible. I just remember saying something. I just feel like I've just lost all my dignity. Right. And suddenly this thought came to me. Dignity isn't what you do in what you do. Dignity is in you. And being in you, you make everything you do dignified. Stopped me in my tracks. Suddenly everything shifted. There was just this joy in me. The most meaningless jobs, making sure the bologna in the cooler wasn't expired, and boy, that place just shone that night, and it just never left me. The next 2 days later, I was accused of stealing money and suspended. Right. Right. So now they investigated me. Right. More indignities. Right? but I just kind of okay. I'm just not going to run away from this. I'm just staying with it and being dignified. They eventually acquitted me of all wrongdoing. They recognized that it was the manager's doing. He had it out for me. They put me somewhere else, and that guy gave me the keys to the safe. Right? And also simultaneously, I ended up in order to compensate because I needed the money. I went to this temporary agency, Manpower, and ended up working on a shipping dock. A little bit later, they liked me at the shipping dock. They asked me if I would stay. I stayed there, and that's when I discovered I was packing shipping computers out. It's before PCs; these are bigger computers. And I got a book out of the library and taught myself how to program. And a couple of years later, I was sitting in San Francisco in the middle of all this equipment. 3 years after that, I had my own business, a consultant, and my entire life changed from that moment on. Um, that that simple little thing. Um, so it's really finding you, right? And one of the ways to do this, well, what turns you on, right? What gets you excited, right? And then when the mind comes in and says, well, how are you going to do that? And how are you going to make money? Well, you don't know enough. What are you going to do? Just put all of that aside and just cherish the self-knowledge, right? And even go beyond the knowledge of the human form to that which is aware of this, right? Which is inherently content, right? Which is inherently knowledgeable, which is inherently in its thing, being yourself. Right? And then you may have impulses to try stuff to see how it feels, right? And bear in mind that it's really a beautiful and important thing for somebody to even realize that they do want to find that juice. They want to find their bliss. Because for many they don't. They sell out before that. Right? They squash that voice, they quiet it, right? That's the voice of the uniqueness of this particular body mind. And then it's a matter of awakening those desires and letting go of them, awakening them, letting go, awakening, letting go. So I hope that helps you, Werner. And yes, some more personal tips I can give you. But start paying attention to what matters to you. What do you value? What do you do, whether you have to do it or not? You just like to do it, right? And you can get lost in it. Those are signs that you're touching on your particular thing for this life. But don't get attached to them because they're only for this life. You are forever. This life is just for now. Klesu, thank you for saying that. They are not the fault, but the symptom of a collective creation. Yeah. Yep, they are. It's important to see that because in our minds we want to find somebody we can blame and take them out, right? Then the world's going to be a good place. Just get rid of all these billionaires or the politicians or all these guys. Just do that, get rid of these guys and everything will be okay. Oh, it's not like that because it's a state of mind. It's not an individual. It's a state of mind. Individuals take on that state of mind and embody it, right? Which makes it seem as if they're the culprits, right? But we're all participating in it. We're all participating in the greed. You know what greed is? Of course, that's what's destroying the world. Very simple. One word: greed. Right? Thinking I need to have more than I actually need. Right? And thinking I win by taking from others and becoming completely indifferent to the fate of others. Greed, as the Buddha defined it, was very, very simple. It wasn't this, this overwhelming avarice we see in the hedge fund manager. It's whenever whenever we think something out there will satisfy this in here, that's greed. Whenever I start reaching for something out there to satisfy me, that's greed. Nothing out there can satisfy you because nothing out there is permanent. And ultimately, nothing out there is real. That is, it doesn't exist independent of your perception of it. So all you're looking at is a projection. It's like trying to grab the movie. You can't do it. That's greed. So every time you think, oh, I gotta have that big TV, or I gotta have this other thing, right? I gotta have. That's greed. And believe me, the current levels of greed and inequality in the world could not be supported did we not have this consumerism addiction that is just this insatiable desire for more and the latest. Think of all the resources being sucked up, just not of the earth, but the intellectual resources. Think of all the scientists that could be just solving all of the problems and putting, and breaking warp speed, and instead they're working on the iPhone 13 or some some revision of some, right. I mean, all of the brain power and creativity and all the stuff that's being wasted. All the people are just barely getting by in poverty. There could be another Mozart or Da Vinci or Picasso that will never get the chance. We have to curtail our own greed, and this sets the example, and this is what Buddha was pointing at, and that, of course, that is suffering. Delusion, ignorance, and greed, they're suffering. Thanks, Klesu. Fiona, notching up doesn't come from accomplishments, but from finding who you really are. It may have taken me 50 years to hear this, GP, but goodness, I am glad I did. Love to you, and all my thanks. Yes. When you think about it, how can anything be satisfying if you don't know who you are? If you're acting out a version of yourself that's not you, and you get what you want, right? There could be just kind of a little momentary high, but this isn't it. How could it be, right? If I'm acting out a completely false version of myself, how can I possibly have anything satisfying? I can't have satisfying relationships, career, the things that I buy, the places I live. None of it can be satisfying because there will be the desires colored by the false sense of self. Knowing yourself is not a spiritual luxury that you put off to later. It is absolutely essential to life. It is the most important thing. Nothing else can have meaning without it. Everything else will be disappointing. Alessandra. Hello, Alessandra. Good to see you. Anya. Hello from North Germany. Thank you for Satsang. You're very welcome. There's Barbara in Sweden. Mary Sykes. Getting on late. Yeah, I do try to warn everybody. This is a much better time for me. Jay, what if you know something that is really important to do, but your body and mind doesn't receive that way? Like exercise, for example. Well, the body isn't going to do anything. The human being can't do anything where it's expecting it to be painful. It seeks pleasure and avoids pain. So there's psychological tricks you can do. If you're talking about exercise, you could hire a trainer, right? There's a couple of things involved in that. A personal trainer obviously knows what they're doing and will know how to help you and will even push you, right? But also, it's somebody you become accountable for, right? It's really helpful to have a sangha, right? So you know what? I'm going to do this, and I'm asking your support in holding me accountable. I did that for 5 years with a men's group when I lived in New York, and we would set different goals for ourselves every week, and we'd have a goal buddy that we would talk to every single day, who would hold us accountable, right? And there was no getting out of it. If you didn't meet your goal in some way, right? You paid a penalty at the next meeting. You had to do something. It was community service or give something to the other men, or there was something that had to do. It was not without consequence. You couldn't let yourself off the hook. And these are the kinds of things that are very useful to have somebody help you, to have a coach, right? Somebody who can say, this is what you're going to do. I actually have a business coach to help me be accountable for action steps I have to take, right? We have a lot of things going on right now in Om School, and there are many actions that I have to take, none of which I actually want to. So I hired somebody to help me do it, right? Not a high price thing. It was just all about just help me define, put it in concrete terms, and hold me accountable for it, so I can get things done. So yeah, I'm not going to turn this into a big spiritual thing. Inquiry, why am I not doing this? It's like, you know, first take some really practical steps. You know, if it's eating right, find recipes that taste good, right? Find the recipes that taste good, right? And making them fun. Bring your kids into the kitchen, right? I'm making dinner with children of friends or with my granddaughter. They're up on the stool next to me. We're cutting together. Make it fun. Make it a part of your life. Do it with your wife. Do it together. Um, there's all sorts of ways that you can turn it into a pleasurable experience, right? And then if there's this huge block, well, then look deeper. Oftentimes, it doesn't require a huge spiritual inquiry to make these kinds of transitions. But number one thing is to um, stop letting yourself off the hook, and say, you know what? I think I really do. I want to do this. Not I have to do this. I have to exercise. You tell me I have to do something. Boy, well, I dig my heels in. The rebel comes out, right? But so I want to do this. That's something you could tap on. I want to do this, right? Right? Can I ask help of my whole body? Can we do this together? I think we'll all like it. How's that, Jay? Then, hey, GP, I've been feeling periods of extreme sorrow and pain bubbling up again. And of course, I cry tons as release when alone. It can last for days. How do I cope with the pain? You are coping with it. You are doing it. Being with it, right? Be with it and be with your body. I'm going to be doing a new 10-day thing. I'm working on it now called presence tapping. It's something I've just kind of come up with. The tagline is, you don't have to know what to say. If you know EFT, this is a point where you can just be with this and tap. Letting go of all of your intention to make it go away. The intention is to allow it complete freedom to express itself and then transform itself into whatever its destiny is. You can start by simply just watching your breath and feeling what's in your body. And if the tears come, let them come. And if any feeling comes up, you let it come. And you'll feel the resistance. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. Okay, this is here too. I put this in. Add this to the mix. Yep, I'm totally in resistance to this. course, who wouldn't be? Yes. Just keep breathing and just keep breathing and keep being with your body. Keep it out of the mind and in the body. Even the word grief, right? Or the word, where did the word use? Yeah, sorrow and pain, right? Even put aside the word sorrow and just feel what sorrow feels like in the body. It's just an energy pattern. An energy pattern that once it has been set free in an environment of safety will eventually transform itself into happiness, because that's the opposite. It's the opposite of suffering, is happiness. And it is the same energy. So that presence, that mindfulness, that allowingness gives it the space into which all of the sorrowful parts can finally be expressed, come into their own, and then that energy is transformed into happiness. Does that help, Lynn? Steffi says, LOL, concerning the question about spiritual ego, my boyfriend loves to point out, I'm more spiritual than you. Oh, boy. How can you miss that? I mean, really, the moment the words would start coming out of your mouth, you'd have to go, wait a minute, what am I about to say? Oh, my. Okay. Yeah. Sean, happy to be here today. Thank you for all these satsangs. They're so awesome. And I'm digging your new spot. Looks super comfy. It is very comfy here. Yeah. I have another 3 weeks here. Yeah, another 3 weeks. Is that right? 21/6. Yeah, 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks from today. I have to go somewhere else, but then I've only got like 4 days or so before I have to before I'm on exile from the European Union. I can't stay. I thought I was going to be able to get around it, but yeah, the penalties of intentionally overstaying are quite severe, and in Germany is the most severe of all. So it's onward to somewhere. Maybe the UK, Canada. Um, I don't know where I'm going to land next. So, but right now, yeah. Let's see, if I move my head, you can see the hood. That's the kitchen back there. Beautiful, nice kitchen. I love to cook. I'm not good at it. I have a couple of things I do. I'm quite repetitive, but I do love to do it. It's very, very relaxing. So, Tatiana, the deeper I experience being love, being in the heart, the more sadness is coming to the surface. Yes, I guess it's the old pain being released. What's your understanding? That's exactly what it is, because it that sadness didn't have enough love around it for it to come up. It requires the environment of love, right? If expressing our sadness or our disappointment or our disillusionment or our grief or anything had to be squashed in the past, right? It didn't have an environment where it could just come up and express itself fully. And so when we move into the heart and when we start being love, we are creating the space in which that's exactly what can happen. And it will happen. The pain, the suffering will come up. And in the space of love that you're holding, it is not coming up to torment. It is coming up to be transformed. That's what healing is. Healing isn't something goes away and something else appears. Healing is the energy that is now in this shape, right? Transforms into this shape. It goes from suffering to happiness. That's what happens every single time, right? But our job is to create the environment. You know, the normal self-help, personal development, and law of attraction practices are trying to force the energy to change. You don't have to. You create an environment. Like I said, it takes the environment for this to happen, right? There's an entire environment of all sorts of things that have to happen for you and I to be having this conversation. Right? The environment was right. Now, what's the internal environment you're creating? Is it one of danger, of fear, of suppression? Or is it one of love and acceptance? In love and acceptance, what happens? The energy that's been held down by, by the suppression and fear and dismissal is now free to move. And what will it do? It will dissolve out of, it'll transform out of the stuck energy. The sadness will come up. Maybe all the reasons why the sadness is there will come up, and it will transform itself into happiness. Beautiful to hear that, Tatjana. And you are spot on your assessment of it. Carl, thanks, GP. Very helpful answer. Your level of compassion makes me cry. It hurts when I try to do this for myself after years of being hard on myself to keep myself going. How do I make myself? How do I make being kind to myself normal and not so uncomfortable? By being kind to yourself when it feels uncomfortable, right? It's the compassion is cultivated, right? You want to love yourself. That's why you want to be kind. You want to feel both loving and loved. You want to give it to yourself, and you want to give to others. That desire is the universe. That desire must fulfill itself. When you try to do it for yourself, right? There's a little bit of trying to force yourself to be compassionate. You can't. Compassionate is not a verb, right? It's what you arrive at. And every time you simply say, I long to be compassionate. I long to simply allow things to be as they are. And right now it sucks. It hurts. I don't like it right now. And I am choosing to allow things to be the way they are. And it just makes so much sense to do so because they are the way they are. All I'm doing is accepting what in fact is already here. And I surrender to that. And then you'll feel the resistance. I don't want to surrender to that. And you go, right, I get it. I've been in this process of suppression and resistance for so long, it's become almost second nature. But I'm aware of that now. I am now conscious of that. And in that consciousness comes the power to begin to separate from that, to allow myself more and more to feel what I'm feeling when I feel it, no matter what form it takes, and to step into that self-acceptance and allowing and that is compassion. Yeah. So in fact, the very act of wanting to means you're already doing it. Let it grow. That's all you have to do. Let it grow. You know, even if you have to get on your knees and pray, please help. Do it. Right? There's nothing wrong with prayer. There's nothing more than saying, I can't do it. Help. Right? Help is on the way. God is a sucker for a prayer like that. There was a time when I was trying to find a place to live. It's moving. Told you the story. I ended up moving to San Francisco, and I was running out of time to find a place to live, and I hadn't found anywhere. And I'm doing my best to be release it, to be clear about it, to not get swept up in the fear of it. But finally, I was just completely overwhelmed, and I said, "Look, I'm sorry. Help. I can't do it." I just surrendered, and the next day I had a place. Just because I just kind of admitted it was more than I could take, right? It's the most honest and humble admission. And it was compassionate. Nobody was withholding it from me, right? It wasn't like God was saying, okay, wait till he gets it right. It just, this is simply the way it unfolded. And after that, the move was very smooth, and they paid for the whole thing to move me out there. It was really quite an amazing event from Chicago to San Francisco. And my kids are still grateful that they grew up in California and not in Illinois. Hello, Facebook user. Thank you for addressing the falling away of interest in things I used to love. How strange it feels. I have been experiencing quite a bit of that. Also, the letting go of toxic family. Also, being okay with that. Overall, I am less judgmental. Beautiful. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Yes. Yeah, just, let go of the judgment of yourself for judging them, letting go of the judgment of them because they were judgmental. And at the same time, just letting go of them and the energy of their judgmentalness, right? So that it doesn't touch you. And when it doesn't, the most beautiful thing can happen. Sometimes they'll stop, right? They'll become that way. They'll become more accepting of you. Sometimes they won't, and you have to let it go. I that was the case for me. I had to just let it go. They were never going to accept me, and I was more concerned about my kids, and it just worked out that I moved to the 2,000 miles. It was a 2,000, yeah, about 2,000 miles away from there. It was just the right distance. So yes, things fall away. It's perfectly natural, isn't it? We want to hold on to things, and of course, that's natural too. We just want to hold on to stuff. But then we just kind of surrender. We surrender to God, you might say. We surrender to the higher power. We surrender to the wisdom that is our essential nature. So thank you for that, Facebook user. Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Lynn Wheatman. Are you new? I don't recognize the name right away. Hi from the UK. Just being. Yay. That's actually all we ever do, is just be. The rest is all just happening. Has Alexandra, I just am. Yes. Yes, you just are. Nothing in particular. Not this, not that. You just are. Even when you're in the midst of something, right? Like, right now I'm being the teacher and I'm doing these kinds of things, but I just am, right? All of that's happening. All of that is just what is happening in the divine scheme of things. Who are you? Who am I? I have no idea. I just am. Beautiful. Beautiful. Diane, hello from the UK. Made it on time tonight. So glad to be with you all, you very unique people. Oh, thank you, Diane. Good to be here. Mary, not to get off subject, but does our physical death date come with our physical birth date? A friend mentioned that this mentioned this last night. Does come well? If it does, I certainly don't know what it is. Right? I was not informed of the expiration date, so so I just have to assume that whether I am or not, I'm never going to know it, right? And we can say, oh, yep, this was destined. Right. What matters right now, right? That's all that matters is what is right now. That's all there is to life and death is right now. In fact, there is no birth and there is no death. Those are imaginary. There's only the eternal continuum. the eternal continuity, and the essential you, which was never born and is never going to die. Forms come and go, but they're constantly coming and going, aren't they? I mean, you're not the same as you were 10 years from now, 10 years ago, nor will you be 10 years from now. It's this constant, right? So if I was this then and I was that, no, what is me? The 10-year-old version of me, the 3-year-old version, the 60-year-old version, the 48-year-old version? Which one's me? None. None of them are me, and yet all of them are me. I am that and I'm not that. You can see there's a continuity there. A continuity in the midst of total and complete flux. It's the most marvelous and mysterious thing, but that is what it is. Isabel. Mary said, thank you for your answer to Robbie's question. You're welcome. Isabel said, so affirmations with I am good to make, we go to higher self energy, and it's possible to keep us in the illusion of what we think we are at the same time. Affirmations with I am are good to make us go to higher self energy, and possible to keep us in the illusion of what we think we are at the same time. If I understand what you're asking, when we're making affirmations, people like to do that kind of thing. The question is, what's motivating you? What's moving you? Right? If there's a sense that I'm affirming something in order to get something, or because I'm some way inadequate, right? Well, then what you're affirming is I am inadequate. But if you're recognizing instead that I'm not broken, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me, I am whole and complete, that's actually true, even though energetically it feels as if it isn't true, that's a very different thing. Right? Now you're not forcing it. Right? And in fact, what happens is a lot of people, that is what they're doing. They're really just trying to force it. But as we get more mature and we become spiritually more aware, there's less and less of that, and more of a recognition that I am whole. I am okay. I don't have to try to affirm it, right? And I don't have to, visualize till I'm blue in the face. I'm recognizing a truth, right? And you see, that's different, right? That's not an attempt to try to get myself into some state. It's a deep seeing that I am the true abundant self, and that I'm not something. I actually am that, and I'm not just trying to enforce that to try to make it true. It's already true, and I'm just kind of being with that and allowing the whole energy system to let go of the notion that it isn't true. Because that's what happens. We think, oh, I'm really messed up. If I just affirm myself enough, then I won't be messed up anymore. Right? And you're just fighting with yourself. There's just no way that's going to win. Instead, it's like, oh, I already am that. It doesn't feel that way. I'm so used to it thinking that I'm not. I understand why it can get kind of confusing and even feel like it's a struggle. But it's really true. I am that. I am the self. I am the Buddha nature. I'm not going to become something ever. I'm already that. This is the miracle. Does that help, Isabel? Hello, Faith. Wow, my chic, the white suits you. You look like a magical, wise character. I noticed some obstacle manifest with the thing we are creating, like some ugly creature. LOL. I love you. I love you too. Yes, it can. Yeah, we can feel like these ugly creatures are inside us. This is just love, love, and more love. I wish I could just make it that love, and more love. Just love. Love, love all the parts of you that seem unlovable, and you will find them to be lovable, and you'll find yourself free. Ah, Vernon, yes, it does. Thank you so much, GP. You're welcome. Brock, haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Would you say greed is a form of fear? Yes. Yes. Fear can be a very intense. It's a feeling of lack. It's a feeling of not enough. It's a feeling like I'm going to be left out. It's got all sorts of fear on it. At its root, it is fear, right? Grasping and grasping and grasping. So yeah, that's what it is. And to recognize that is to find yourself in a position where you're coming face to face with the deep sense of not being enough, of being inadequate. And a lot of people try to hide it by being very aggressive or trying to accumulate as much as they possibly can. But it's just a thin veneer set on top of the deep sense of not being enough. And it doesn't matter how much you accumulate, how successful you are. That won't cut it. That won't make a difference. Okay. Good to see you, Barack. Mary. Oh man, I'm tired. Wow. I have been noticing that during conversation with people, during the conversation, they talk continuously about themselves ad nausea. Is this not a form of greed? Yeah, and allow others to share something that's interesting to share. Some people just want to talk about their problems all the time, and if oftentimes they just want to grab all your attention and really don't want to hear anything you have to say. And if they do, you just kind of let them go, right? They either get transformed so they can have a genuine um, uh, relationship, a mutually benefit relationship, or you just let go of them. You continue to develop yourself, continue to grow, continue to become increasingly more loving and aware and wise. And those that are kind of grabbing onto you will either begin to transform and respond to you and move with you to a deeper level, or they'll simply disappear out of your life. Thank God. This is the beauty of transformation. Dominique. Hello, Dominique. How do you live with what is when you're in unbearable pain? Well, I don't know exactly what your particular circumstances are, so I will try to answer that as best as possible. Let's remember, and everybody listen to this, because everyone has the experience of in a position that is simply unbearable. I've experienced it. even told one of the stories earlier. And I had thought for the longest time that I was going to be able to get to this place that I would be able to, nothing ever would touch me anymore, right? Nothing would develop, nothing would get in the way. I always thought that somehow I'd finally get that place, where everything is just perfectly okay. And then I realized that was not it at all, and that I began to instead allowing myself to truly begin to love life as it is, even when it's struggled, even when it's difficult. Right? And there's a lot of times that are going to come in your life, right, that are going to simply unbearable. Right? What do? Breathe. Bring your attention. Get out of your mind. Get it out of the ideas as to where you think, how do I get out of it, right? And instead, allow yourself to be totally present with what you're experiencing. If your willingness to do that, you're going to find that the thoughts, the ideas, the way we normally think things, instead you'll be completely, oh boy, I'm really laughing. Give me a second here. Nothing that happens is not beyond what you can take. Let go of everything you think you know. Think of all the ways you think things should be, the way you should be. Just let yourself feel what you're feeling. Give me a second. I need to get some water. So, be present with what you happen to be feeling in the morning. I don't know what's going on. It's almost as like I can't talk for some reason. So I think I'm going to have to take. I think I'm going to have to take a deal. I think I have to stop you early tonight. Just all of a sudden, I'm just kind of like, I'm. It's like I'm not here. So I'm just going to have to let it go for today. Thank you all for joining me and sorry that I let go when there are so many questions, but I think I need to. I think I need to rest. So thank you all. Love you all. Namaste.